The idea behind Live Free was to address the issue of urban gun violence as well as mass incarceration. It shows up in both of those ways. Ideally, the idea is to keep people alive and to keep people free. The metric for success across the board is to reduce the number of people in incarceration spaces, as well as reduce the number of police-involved shootings and increase police accountability. The way that we're doing that here in Philadelphia is by ending cash bail, as well as addressing the violence that we have seen exacted against David Thomas Jones and other folks who are suffering at the hands of police brutality.
Live Stop is a program where the police are asked to immobilize cars that are uninsured or have a non-licensed driver or are not registered. And currently they tow the cars upon pulling over and finding out this information, and instead we are trying to find alternatives to towing. We are working with New Sanctuary Movement to show that this is not just an issue affecting immigrant communities, but it affects all Philadelphians. We are working on research to show that it affects primarily poor neighborhoods and undocumented and racial minority groups. The goal is to change the current policy and allow drivers to have 30 minutes to find a licensed driver to take their car and avoid being towed. Currently, we are reaching out to other social justice organizations throughout the country that have successfully changed the regulations in their cities, and we are taking kind of the best parts of their campaign to start off in a stronger place, so we are communicating with them to learn what worked.
The Education Strategy Team is a team consisting of parents, students, teachers, and community members that says we are working together to ensure that every school is great across this great state. You may be wondering what is the Education Strategy Team is doing to meet our goal of 100% funding into the fair funding formula. Well, the steps that we are taking are we are reaching out to our legislators and providing them information, having meetings to show our research that the current state structure and the current funding system is racist, is morally unjust, and is just plain wrong. I am passionate on this topic for two reasons. One, I am a mother of children that attends the Philadelphia Public School District, and two, I am passionate about our future. Ladies and gentlemen, our future matters to me, and our children is our future. In our schools, we have future doctors, we have future lawyers, we have future cops, we have future paramedics. Our future is sitting in them classrooms. And because I want a great future, I am passionate to make sure that our children receive a great education so our future can be great.
POWER approaches the healthcare campaign with the belief that the right to healthcare is a fundamental human right and that it's our obligation to care for one another. Right now, we're really focused on our direct attacks that are coming against our communities from the federal government. So there's a lot of attacks on the ACA, Medicaid, and Medicare, all of which provide coverage for hundreds of thousands of Pennsylvanians, which are essential to our people and our congregations and our communities. They're major targets for the federal government right now, both the administration and Congress. So we are working on educating and mobilizing faith communities to fight those attacks and make sure that those programs that our people depend on are preserved and safe. Right now is a pretty scary moment for healthcare because 3 of the most critical programs that people in Pennsylvania depend on for their care are under direct attack by our administration and our government at the federal level. So the ACA, Medicaid, and Medicare have all provided really, really necessary coverage and protections for hundreds of thousands of people in Pennsylvania, and all of that is on the line right now through efforts to repeal and replace the ACA and also through the House budget, which makes massive cuts to Medicaid and Medicare and tries to restructure the programs entirely. When I think about what makes me passionate about this campaign, I think about experiences that I've had of someone that I love being really sick, and I think a lot of people know what that's like, know what it's like to stay overnight at the hospital with someone and try to deal with advocating for yourself in the medical system and deal with all the fear and emotion that comes with someone being sick, and for someone to have to worry about money and if they can pay for the next treatment, and if they might have to sell their house and what's going to happen with their job and all of the questions about access that come in. It's such a fundamental disrespect to our human experience and our connections to one another, and it's so unnecessary. We live in the wealthiest country in the world, and we could provide healthcare for everyone without worry about cost or access if it was a priority. So I see this campaign as people coming together, people of faith who are declaring the right to healthcare as a human right. We are just starting to build a healthcare working group so that we can collectively hold this work and build community and strategy and analysis around this issue, because we also know that power is new to healthcare work and there's a lot of growing for us to do in our understandings of it. We really want to explore how healthcare justice intersects with the other issues that we work on, because we know it's connected to mass incarceration and connected to economic dignity work and connected to environmental justice concerns. So we have a lot of our own knowledge building to do and also a lot of strategizing to do about how to effectively build our power.
Our campaign is the raising the 21st century living wage that we fought for 3 years ago and won from $12 to $15 an hour. One of the reasons why I'm very passionate about it is the fact that this is really an opportunity to bring thousands of Philadelphian workers out of poverty. Right now at $12 an hour, they are barely getting by, and some of the subsidies that they qualified before, they're no longer qualifying for. And so this really can make a difference in the city and changing us from the largest poor city in America and really changing the identity of what's happening in some of the most devastated communities. The goal of the campaign is to get City Council to vote and approve and the mayor to sign off on a raise in the 21st century minimum wage, which affects all subcontracted and subcontracted workers with the city. So right now we're meeting with city council members, we're meeting with small business owners that are already working towards improving the living wage in Philadelphia, and working with our allies, with the unions and workers, to really encourage and strengthen the movement. The Green Jobs campaign is an household campaign we've been on for going on to our second year, partnering with Earthquaker Action Team, working to push our electric company, PECO, to go from 0.6% of 1% solar energy at the moment to 20% by 2025. Creating over 15,000 jobs in Philadelphia, which could just revolutionize how our city looks at itself in the economy. Focusing on local and co-op solar energy here in Philadelphia and the suburban areas. This is an amazing campaign that really bridges city and urban. Because it is something that can reach across the board. But what it can do in especially low-income neighborhoods like Philadelphia, getting a co-op where the neighborhood could actually own their electricity that they are producing and providing could stop shutoffs for millions of people. Shutoffs are actually what we've been hearing, one of the number one reasons, utility shutoffs are one of the number one reasons that children's services are coming into family homes. So this could literally stop families from being broken up and really give a chance for communities that have been neglected for the last 40 to 50 years, a chance to really become, not just rebuild themselves, but become resilient, self-sufficient communities.
There's a lot of energy, there's a lot of fire, there's a lot of brilliance that is invested in the hearts and minds of people in our universities. And so having their spirits and having their energy and having their fire and having their vision and having their drive to as partners in this work will help us to make sure that we can continue to press back against the issues of oppression in a way that we can see victory in the long haul.
If you want to be particularly working on a college campus or working with your resources as a college student, we could definitely use help with research to really build our analysis around healthcare. That could be really exciting to have people who are doing that work from sort of an academic perspective.
College students are actually an amazing resource that we would love to tap into more. One, as a Philadelphia, the largest employer are universities and hospitals in our city. So the work that they can do of reaching into the structures of these environments are so much greater than what we can as outsiders. They do have an effect on what happens on their campus. The other thing is that young people have a more flexible schedule than somebody else who might be working full-time. And as a college student, you can make some flexibility in city council meetings or during business hours. And that young, vibrant, new ideas are such a vital resource here within POWER, especially as a group that say we're so focused on being bottom up. Having someone with new, young, bright ideas to come in and shake us up and make sure that we're really asking those good questions is just an amazing resource that I don't think we could get enough of.
My favorite part about working with POWER is the community aspect of it. In the current political climate, it can get very lonely and isolated watching the news or reading the news by yourself and feeling like you might be the only one that feels like you want to make a difference and make a change. And then you come to a POWER meeting and you see a room full of people that share your ideals and are willing to put in the effort to make the changes that you also want to make in our country.
I love working at POWER because my faith is being put into action here.
I love being in a work environment that is continually calling me to connect my spirituality and justice work. And I love being in work that really feels like a fight to protect my people. I know exactly what we're working for. We're working for the health and well-being of our people, to protect people from greed and partisan politics that have no concern for their suffering. And knowing what you are working towards is incredibly motivating, and also being surrounded by people that also know what they're working towards and that are deeply committed to their justice ideals and to their spirituality is really motivating for me and keeps me in this work even when it's really difficult.
Wow, there's so much I like about working with POWER. Even when it's hard work, and it's chaotic and messy, it's done with love. It is a group of people of Muslims and Catholics and Jewish and humanitarians and all of Quakers and just all of these people who we've been told don't belong together, whether you're too rich or you're white or you're poor or you're black or you're young. All of the reasons why we shouldn't be able to work together are here, working together to really change that narrative of making Philadelphia great, which I think is the point. It's kind of the dream of Philadelphia, is to be able to embrace those kind of diversity and really make it into something amazing. And that's what POWER is.